All right, so going to jump in and get started. Picking up what we left off earlier, what we have is a nextjs application connected to MongoDB database via Prisma, that's the ORM. Currently, we have the ability to log in and log out using Google OAuth authentication, and we're using the Prisma adapter to persist the data in the database. As you can see, we were previously logged in with a user. Once we logged in, we were able to capture that user's information, create a session for the user, and also have a verification token as well. So now what I want to do in this portion is just go ahead and we also created the relationship between the user and post. So when a user creates a post, we identify that user by the user's email. So in this portion, we want to go ahead and move forward with just adding some simple styling and updating the sign in and sign out button, placing it within separate component folders, and just bringing a little more organization. And after that, we'll work on the CRUD features of the project. But first, let's go ahead and begin to style the application a little bit. So we'll go back to VS Code. In the root directory, we'll create a folder named Components. Inside of it, I'll add a directory named UI. And we'll also add one named Dashboard. UI is going to represent everything that's within the user interface, and the dashboard is going to have certain components within it that won't be shared throughout. So anything in UI will be shared throughout the app dashboard. It's just going to be for the dashboard page or dashboard functionality only. And within UI, let's create a directory named header. And we'll also add one named post. So within the header directory, we'll add a file named header.tsx. Hey everybody, thank you so much for giving me some of your time and attention. Just working on coding this application. So I'll begin by creating an export default. Actually, we'll use the RFCE snippet to create a component. I'm just going to rename it from a lowercase header to an upper. Replace this div with a header tag. In the tag, I'm just going to type header. I also want to create a separate layout so we don't add too many imports into the main layout.tsx. So what I'll do is within the app directory, let's create a folder grouping named website. The page.tsx, let's go ahead and click on it, drag it, bring it up to the website directory. Let's go ahead and move it. Yeah, this is fine. Within this same website grouping directory, let's add a file named layout.tsx. To save us a little bit of typing and to make sure we don't have any errors, I'm just going to copy the TypeScript description for the children because we will need it within the layout. And to keep it simple, we'll just do a RFC snippet. In the layout, parentheses, I'm going to pass in the children that we just copied. And just to make sure that this works properly, remove layout, add children enclosed in brackets, save it. And we'll go ahead and import the header component. Be sure it's coming from @components/UI/header/header.tsx. And right above the children, inside of the div, we'll bring in the header. And we should see this on screen. Let's just make sure. We see header listed here, and we see the sign in with Google because Sign in is currently within the page.tsx. The cool thing about this is every route that is within this website directory will have access to this layout. So this header will be on every route that we eventually create. For instance, we're going to need a dashboard, and it will use the same layout. So in order to create the dashboard route with Next.js, remember it's a file-based routing system. All we need to do is go inside of the directory, go inside the app folder, create a directory, whatever name that we want for that route. In this instance, it's going to be dashboard. Then we'll add a page.tsx. We'll use the RAFCE snippet to create a const export component. I'll update the name to be dashboard page. We'll click save to save this file. Now if we go to our local host and we want to go to the route with dashboard, we'll go to localhost 3000/dashboard. We see the header is listed on screen, so that's perfect. Spending a little time creating a full stack application. We've already added our ORM of Prisma. In addition to the auth.js Google OAuth authentication, we have the ability to sign in and sign out. We are saving that user's information in the database via the Prisma adapter. Now we're just going to add some basic styling to give a little bit of a layout feel to the website. While we're at it, we'll go ahead and update the title of the page or the app. Right now it is at the default. We'll change it to, let's just name it Writer's World. Save. We see it is now reading Writer's World. If we go to the other one, refresh it, hadn't updated just yet. Okay. So this one hadn't updated quite just yet. That's okay. We'll come back to it though, no biggie. So now let's begin to style the header just a little bit. Back in the header component, I'll give this a class name, the header tag, with a width of full. Give it some padding. Actually, let's set the height to 20. Save. Give it a background of amber. Let's do this so we can see it a little better. I want to get the other way around. There we go. There we go. Let's bring this in a little bit. This is fine. We may adjust this padding, and then we'll add a div. This div is going to contain the header, so I'm going to give it a margin of auto on the left and right. We'll set the maximum width of this to max width screen. We'll make it extra large, and we'll give some padding on the X of 4. helps if you include that. Okay. And then just to make sure, you see the padding listed there. Set the background to purple 300. Thank you so much for those that have stopped by. I genuinely appreciate the support. Perfect. And we'll give this a border bottom. We'll set the border to neutral. This 100 look like. We'll make it 2. I don't want it much darker than that. Perfect. All right. So we have the maximum width set. Let's add a div for a logo. Come back and add that later. And we'll go flex. To make this a flex container, I want the item centered on the x-axis, and we'll go justify between so that everything has even spacing throughout. We'll set the width to full. Click save. We won't notice many changes just yet. We'll come outside of the logo div and add a new div, and we'll call this login. Perfect. And we see it appear on the far right. Thank you for those that have stopped by. I appreciate it. Just coding the header for a full stack application that we have been working on. This is part 2 of it. We're coding the header, giving it a little bit of design, maybe work on the home page, but specifically updating the login button so that everything is contained within the header. And we'll also maybe give it a loading animation so that we see the pending state while the header or while the authentication is flowing through. We'll come back to that. I think I'll change this to 6 less padding. Okay, so this is currently the login, and we'll need to update this. So our auth.js, we currently have the authentication running on the server. I believe the documentation said we can also run it in a client component as well. I'm pretty sure we can. We just may have to make a few small configuration changes, but I'm going to keep everything on the server. This header is actually going to be a server rendered component as well. So what I'll do is we'll go ahead and mark this as async. Then we'll need to determine if we have a session, because if we have a session, then we'll show logout, maybe the dashboard link as well. And if we don't have a session, then we'll just show login. So first we'll need to grab session, and we actually can copy what we have on the home page. We don't have to type it back out. We'll just paste it in. Right now we're getting the error because we haven't imported auth. If we remove the last 2 characters, as a quick little tip, if you remove the last 2 characters of anything that needs to be imported and retype it, you'll automatically get a recommendation with VS Code. In this instance, it is recommended to add /auth, which is what we have stored in the root directory that is managing our authentication. So this will let us know if we're going to use this, to determine if we have a session already in place. And if we do, we're going to show the logout button plus dashboard. And if we don't, we'll show login with Google. So we have the session portion cared for. Now we need to conditionally render those buttons based upon a session or not. The good thing is we already have the main things that we need typed out. We'll just organize it a lot better. So for right now, I'm just going to copy this, delete it. We'll replace this with home page, so we should see that on screen now instead of sign in with Google. Just refresh the page. There we go. We can go ahead and remove the session from the home page and the import, keep things clean. And we'll go back to the header.tsx component, paste in that code, and we'll need to import sign in and sign out. And the way we'll go about that is we'll remove the last two characters, update it. So now sign in is included, and actually we probably shouldn't have did it that way, because as you can see, it's grabbing it from next off / react instead of at / off. So I'm gonna remove this one, and we'll just add on to the off import that we already have. We'll begin to type in sign in, and it automatically recognizes that we need it. And then next we'll go ahead and do the same with sign out. Perfect. Now we're no longer getting the error. You can see it is already updated here, reading sign in with Google. Change the padding. I like that better. All right, so great. Now let's just make sure that this works before we update the styling of it. We'll click on sign in with Google. It automatically remembers us, and clearly I put a colon versus an L. Perfect. And then we can click log out, and you notice how now we have a refresh. What we'll do is we'll have a pending button or a pending state, maybe with form status, so that we see while it's pending, we see something on screen and it's not just showing the static sign in button. But first I want to put these in individual components. For right now, we're only going to need this sign in and sign out in the header component, so I'll put those in the header folder. So we'll create a file inside of header named sign in btn.tsx. And we'll also add a file named sign out-btn.tsx. All right, sorry about that. I'm back now. So let's go ahead and create the sign in button first so that we can just get something on screen, and we'll also update the sign out button as well. So let's do this. We'll do sign in, go import sign in, and that is going to come from at off. Then we'll create a button, sign in BTM, click save, and we'll go back to the page.tsx file, excuse me, the header.tsx file. And what we're going to do is we're going to replace what's listed here with the sign in btn. So I'm just going to copy this, delete it, and then we'll import sign in btn. Be sure it's coming from /sign in button. And inside of the brackets indicating that we don't have a session, I'm just going to bring in that import and be sure to close it. Uh-oh, I might have copied too much. Let me see something. What error is it? Sign in btn. Oh, duh, I copied too much. I see now. Hold on. We just need to remove the sign in. Sorry, I removed the whole fragment. Copy that now. Bring in sign in btn. Click save. There we go. All right. And it says sign in btn. And then we'll just go to that component. And in the return statement, we'll just delete the div and we can paste in what we just copied from the header. Once we paste it, we now see it reads sign in btn. I'm just going to test it to make sure it works. I appreciate everyone hanging in there with me, checking me out. Just building a live full stack application using Next as the framework, Prisma as the ORM, MongoDB as our database. We have auth.js. We're using that for authentication. And in this instance, I'm setting up Google OAuth. I've already have it set up in this persistent data in the database. Right now, I'm just updating the header and buttons to make them a little more interactive. And right now, I'm just making sure it works. So we see the sign in button, the sign in portion works. Now let's update sign out. So I'm going to go to the sign out btn. We'll start by importing sign out, and that's going to come from @/auth. Creating a functional component named sign out btn. Click save. Go back to the header.tsx. Let's import it. Import sign out. It should be coming from the same directory as sign in, which it does. It's perfect. So now we can actually copy the sign out button. We're going to delete it and we'll replace it with sign out btn. Click save. We notice that it went from logout to sign out btn. Now we'll go back to the sign out component, remove the div, paste in the form, click save. We got it updated on screen. Let's click log out to make sure it goes back to sign in. And it does, perfect. So I just want to add a pending state because there is a little delay in confirming the sign in or the authentication. So I'm just going to add a little pending state so that we see something on screen. And we'll use per the documentation, we'll use form status. It's going to come from React DOM. And what we want to destructure from this is pending. So we'll go ahead and call it. Now we should have access to everything that is within the use form status. And I think it's just a Boolean of pending, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Click save. It only works in client components. That's absolutely correct. So let's go ahead and mark this file as use client. So I'm gonna need to change this up a little bit. Got it. So we'll need to separate this out. We're basically just going to capture the button itself and not the actual component. So I'm going to create a separate BTN for that. I'll call this sign in dash button.tsx. We'll mark this one as use client. Create a component. We'll go to the sign in BTN. That's sign out hold. Sign in page dashboard. So we don't have that open. We'll go to sign in BTN. Copy it, delete it. Let's import sign in button and pass it inside the form. Close the component. And we see it is reading sign in button now. So if we click on it, we would need to make this a button. Sorry. We'll remove the div and replace it with a button. And I'll just state, let's go ahead and bring in use form status. Use form status is coming from React DOM. Let's capture the pending state from it. Inside of this button, first, let's give it a type of submit. Now we want to capture if it is pending. So we'll say if it's pending, we'll just say signing in, or this will just quotation. We'll just say sign in with Google. Make sure this is working. All right, let's click that. We get signing in, perfect. And now we see log out, perfect. Now let's do the same thing for log out or sign out. That's sign in dash button. We'll make this sign out dash button.tsx. Mark it as use client. We can go ahead and copy this from the sign in button because that remains the same. Create the component RAFCE with a function sign out button. Say we can remove this. Now let's replace this log out with the sign out button. Go back to sign out dash btn. We can copy, delete this. Let's import the button. Import sign out button. Inside of the form, let's pass it in. Close the component. And we now see sign out button. So we're going to do the exact same thing that we just did for the sign in button, but with sign out. So we see some form of a pending state. So we can actually just go back to the sign in button. We'll copy the destructuring of pending, which is a Boolean, which is going to say true or false. Pass it inside of the function. Then we'll copy this button. Go back to sign out button. Remove the div. Paste in the button. And instead of it saying signing in, we'll say signing out. Or maybe be consistent, logging out will probably be more appropriate. Logging out. And instead of it saying sign in with Google, we'll just have it say log out. Click save. So now we are already logged in, so it is showing log out. If we click on log out, what we should see is logging out in a pending state. So we'll click on it now. And we see that logging out. We get a slight refresh and we see sign in with Google. So that refresh that you're seeing, we can care for that as well with the loading state. Temporarily, eventually I want to add suspense to kind of give it a little more interactivity. For those that just joined, I appreciate it. Just building a full stack application. We're currently on the authentication portion. This is a Next.js 15 app. We're using Prisma as the ORM, MongoDB as the database. Right now, we've already integrated Auth.js. We're using Google Authentication. We've already created the credentials, integrated it into the application. We've added the feature to log in and log out. We just cared for the pending state. Now we're just making sure that everything is functioning as we want before we move on to creating the CRUD server actions. So we see it saying sign in and log in, but we get a little bit of a delay. Perfect. Or excuse me, we don't get a delay, we get a refresh. Once we click log out, it's logging us out. Right here, it'd be good to show some form of loading state. Until we add suspense in, what I want to do is just add a simple loading on screen so the user sees something. So within the website grouping, let's add a file named loading.tsx. This is a special file name from Next that tells Next that anytime we use this file name, it's going to automatically treat it as loading. We'll use the RAFC snippet to create a component. This is the function name inside of the div. Yep. Inside of the div, this is where we'll add the styling. So I'm just going to put loading, but to kind of center it so that it's not at the top. Let's make sure it works first. Let's go to sign in. Signing in, perfect. Log out, logging out. We didn't actually see it then. Let's see, class name, height of full flex column, justify center. Let's test it out. Let's see something. I'm not gonna spend too much time with it, but something may have changed, or I may be missing something. It's in layouts. Actually, let's just do it this way. We'll do loading. Not worry about that. Server side, we'll use suspense. Oh, okay, it's okay. It was just a temporary thing anyway. I'll come back to it. Well, ultimately, I'm not gonna come back to it. What I want to do anyway is add in suspense, so that is fine. So we'll go ahead and close out these sign in buttons. We're done with that. We're done. Actually, we're not done with the header. So in the header, I do want to create a link to get us to the dashboard page. So inside of the header.tsx, in the fragment where we have the sign out button, let's change that fragment to a div. Inside the div, we'll give it a class name of flex, item centered, and we'll go space on the X2. In order to get to this route, homepage/dashboard, we're going to use link, which allows us to really take advantage of the file-based routing system within Next. So we're going to import link, and it should come from next/link. Perfect. Then next to the sign out button, let's go ahead and bring in the link, and we'll give it an href of /dashboard. Hey man, what's up? I appreciate the comments on the new project. Next project. Man, congratulations, man. I would, first of all, great job for taking the leap. I would start with the documentation. Superbase has documentation already designed that kind of walks you through how to integrate it with Next.js. Once you have it integrated, sky's pretty much the limit from there, but it'll be very simple for you to integrate it and use the authentication and everything from Superbase. Are you saving your images to Superbase, or are you saving those images to your public directory so they're static? You'll definitely want to take advantage of the image component from Next to really control the loading of your images and what they look like as that data is being loaded, especially if you're grabbing it from Superbase. If you're grabbing it from local, then caching should take care of it. But if you're going to grab it from a database, then make sure you're using the image from Next. That way you can really enhance the image experience for the end user. But great job, man. I'd love to see what you build when you're done, man. So when you're done, shoot me a link. I'd love to check it out. Appreciate the comment. So then we will we'll add the name of this route, which will be dashboard. Let's click login, signing in. All right, so we see dashboard is there. And if we click on dashboard, it takes us to the dashboard route. Now we need a way to get back home. Let me update logo. Actually, we probably should just go ahead and make this a separate component. I'll go ahead and do that. In the UI directory, inside of UI, let's add a folder named logo, and then a file named logo.tsx. We'll import link from next link. We'll use the RAFC snippet to create a const component or function, excuse me. We'll update the name of this to be logo, sorry. Let's remove this div and replace it with link. We'll give it a href to go back to the home route. And then inside of the link tag, we'll just name this absolutely, brother. Thanks for the comment. Appreciate the love. Inside of link, let's update this name to logo. And let's import it inside of the header. Import logo. Be sure it's coming from /logo TSX. And we'll just remove this div, or excuse me, this logo. Yeah, we can remove the entire div and replace it with the logo component. Let's save it. It should be good to go. I'm gonna refresh it. Yep. And then now if we click on logo, that should take us back to the home route. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Linking and navigating. I am thinking yeah, I'm thinking that probably should have been. I'm not sure why it didn't work, because this is the exact same naming convention, loading.tsx, that we used earlier. So it should have identified that it was a loading file, but it's okay. We're going to use suspense. When I get to doing stuff, man, if things don't work as I know or know they should, I kind of get locked in on fixing it until I have it worked out. So this is what I want to do. And I noticed that there's a new feature within Next called link status. And this link status, so dynamic links without generating static params. If a dynamic segment could be pre-rendered but isn't because it's missing generate static params, the route will fall back to the dynamic rendering at request time. Ensure the route is statically generated at build by adding generate static params. Okay, so that's if we were looking to capture static data. If we have a slow network on slow or unstable networks, prefetching may not finish before the user clicks the link. That can affect both the static and dynamic routes. In these cases, loading.js fallback may not appear immediately because it hasn't prefetched the data or hasn't prefetched yet. To improve perceived performance, you can use the use link status hook to show inline visual feedback to the user, like a spinner or text glimmers on the link while a transition is in progress. So we're going to use this. First, I'm going to copy this code so I don't have to type it out. This should be in the global CSS. So we'll just copy it, try it out, go to the global CSS. We'll paste it in. It has a class name of spinner. It has some design with an animation of, opacity initially of 0, and it's going to animate in and show a little bit of, looks like this is just going to be a fade in, fade out, or no, it's going to be a spinning because I see the rotate of 360 there. We'll test it out. Then inside of header, we're going to add a file named loadingindicator.tsx. I guess this doesn't have to be in loading because it could be used with anything, but it's okay. Or in UI, I should say. I'm going to paste that file name in. Copy this. I'm just going to paste in this code. Then we'll need, you can disable prefetching. Oh, wow, you could do quite a bit with it. Let me see something. I may need to play with this and add. I feel like I need to add a little bit more to it. Yeah, I do. This is going to be inside of header. No, this is a client. Let me play with this. We'll come back to this. Let me add a. Let's add a little to-do list within app. So we'll go within the root directory notes.md, loading. To-do link loading indicator from the docs. Let me play with that. I need to think about that for a minute. Yep, just building a full stack app. We have the authentication cared for. Let's say we're still going, so this should still be good. My apologies if there was any drop. It should still be good. Let me save this first. Okay, perfect. Alright, so with that cared for, we have a way to get back home. We have a way to click on dashboard. I think now what we want to do is add the ability to create post. So in the lib directory, well, first let me say this. This is the point where we would typically, or where I would typically add API routes in order to create, or excuse me, in order to query or mutate the data from the database. Because we're not using API routes and we're using server actions, we're going to go ahead and create our server actions at this point. Within the root directory, inside of lib, add a folder named action with an S. Then inside of it, we'll add a file named post.ts. In this directory, or in this file, we're going to add all of the server actions that correspond with the post. We're looking to do a full CRUD functionality where we create, update, read, and delete our data. So we'll go through the process of creating all of those. So let's do this. We'll start by using the use server directive at the top. This is going to allow us to use these functions throughout the application, even in client components, even though we're not going to run or create any client components. We're going to keep everything on the server. Let's go ahead and import Prisma. It should come from /Prisma. Then we'll bring in revalidate path. That's just to revalidate the data. And we'll also bring in redirect to redirect the user to a different page. The first action I want to establish is the ability to create a post. So we'll create a function name or export defaults we'll create a function, an export default function. No, I'm tripping. We'll create an export async function and we'll name it create post. We'll need to pass in some form data. In the function, we're going to need to capture some information from the user. I'm going to do everything on the server. So instead of passing the authentication through the form, I think I'm just going to pass it in, capture it from the server. So let's go ahead and import auth, and that's going to come from @/auth. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to destructure the auth object so that we can capture the logged in user's email. And that'll be the email that's corresponded with the user that's going to be creating it. Yeah, sorry, I just need to make sure that makes sense in my mind. So first, we'll create a const named title to capture the title from the form data. So this will be form data, and we're using the .get method. What we want to get is title, and that's going to be as a string. Next, we'll need to capture the content. Say content so form data .get content as string. So that's going to give us the data, the title, and the content from the form. Now I want to capture the user. So we'll say const, I'll name this session. It's going to be equal to auth, should call it. And that's going to give us the auth object. From that object, we want to capture the user email. And I believe that syntax is going to be equal to session dot user. Let me think about this one for a second. It's been a while since I think it is session dot user. It is session dot user question mark dot email. That should be it. I may have to do this on the front end. You know what? I'll pass it through to the form. So we'll say if no session will redirect the user back to the home page. And we'll say if no title or no content, leave with this one, we're going to redirect the user as well. So that cares for making sure we have a logged in user and we're getting good data back from the server or back from the front end. yeah, man, it is it's fun. I enjoy it. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So after we've done some simple validation, we'll then be ready to establish the connection and add our post. So we'll go await Prisma dot, and once we click on dot, we'll get access to a lot of different things based upon what's inside of our schema or our database, in addition to the methods that come from the Prisma client. So in this case, we have a session, a user, a verification token that is a post and account that's in the MongoDB database. But you also have some other methods that are included with the Prisma client. Right now, we just want to access the post schema, and we'll use .create from Prisma. And then we'll call this data, and then we'll pass in the title, content, and let me also grab the user because the user email, because we are going to use that from the front end, not the back. Const user email is equal to form data get user email string. Email, perfect. There we go. It just was looking for everything that it needed. And then after this, once it's successful, we'll go revalidate path, and then we'll go redirect the user back to the home page. So that should be the create post. Well, that is the create post function. Let's test it out. We'll go to the dashboard. That's in the components directory. Let's go to the app folder, website, dashboard. We'll add a folder named create and a file named page.tsx. Use the RFC snippet, and we'll name this function create post page. Click save. Now we need a way to get here. So for right now, we'll just access it like this. /create. Perfect. So now let's just test this out, to test the function out that we just created. And the way we'll go about that is just creating a simple note. So let's just remove this div, and we'll start by importing create note, create post. There we go. And I'm not going to worry about the styling of this just yet, but I am going to bring in form. And with form, it needs a action. We're going to pass in create post. So the first thing we'll need is an input with the name of title. We'll give it an ID of title, a placeholder of title, and a closing tag. That's what we see here. Then we'll have a text area with a name of content, ID of content, placeholder of content. Now we also need the logged in user. We'll need to get access to the auth object. At the top, we'll import auth. That is from @/auth. We'll need to turn this into a server component by marking it, but we'll need to indicate that we're going to perform some functions. So we'll need to add async. Then we'll need to get access to auth. So I'll go session is equal to await auth. And then we'll go const username. It's going to be equal to session .username.email. And as you've seen, we had access to a few other things within that. Now I'm just going to pass this user email in the form. So we'll say input. The name of this will be user email. The ID is going to be user email. I'm not going to worry about a placeholder. But if we close this link tag, what we should see, let me add default value of user email. Now, once we close this up and save it, what we should see is the actual email of the logged in user. Bam, there we go. Now that's a little tacky. So the way we can care for that is just by typing hidden. No, sorry. We always need to care for the event that we don't have a user. So we'll say if no session, we'll bring in redirect from next navigation. We'll redirect the user back to the home page. Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Just trying to give a little value back, a little entertainment, and I hope everyone learns something along the way. I'll care for this types of thing. This is it an empty string? Yeah. All right, so now let's test this out. Let me add a button. Type of submit. We'll go create, post, click save. All right, now let's test this out. Test post, test content. Once we click save, if everything works properly, we should be redirected back to the home route. If not, we'll open up the terminal because everything's on the server and we'll see what error we're getting. We have a little bit of a pending state there, so I will come back and care for that while it is loading, but we were redirected back to the home page. Yay, that should be a good thing. Let's confirm in the database that we actually do have a new post created. We'll go back to MongoDB. Let's just refresh the page. We still have the user and post. We have a new post, test content. The user email is the JA dad. That is absolutely awesome. So next action that I want to update. Let me test this to make sure that it redirects us if we don't have a session. So I'm going to open up a separate browser. And I should probably add this same logic to the dashboard because you won't have a dashboard if you don't have a logged in session. So we'll start by just going to localhost 3000. We're not signed in, so we'll go to dashboard. That's fine. Now we should not be able to access create. So if I go to this, click create, you see we are automatically redirected back to the home page. Perfect. That means that it is caring for the fact that we don't have a logged in user on the route dash slash board. It's caring for the fact that we don't have a logged in user on the route slash dashboard slash create. I don't think the user should be able to access the dashboard page either if they're not logged in. So let's care for that. So we'll go to the dashboard page. This component will need to be marked as async. Then we'll bring in the auth object, and that's coming from @/auth. Thanks to those that are checking me out. If you got any questions, feel free to ask away. I'm just building a full stack app that is connected to a MongoDB database via Prisma. We're using Google OAuth as the authentication provider. That's being provided from auth.js. We have the ability to log in, log out, the user session, email information, all of that good stuff is being stored in the database via the Prisma adapter. We have the ability to create posts. We confirmed that they are being displayed in the database. Now we're just going to update them on the home page. But first, I want to do a few little checks and balances just to make sure that we have a secure project, if you will. So the create page is secure. You can't access that unless you're logged in. Now I want to prohibit the user from being able to access the dashboard page in the event they aren't logged in. The component is being marked as asynchronous because everything is going to be ran on the server. We brought in the auth object. Now we just need to get access to it. We'll say const session is equal to await auth. If you got any questions, feel free to drop them. I will be happy to answer anything pertaining to this, anything you're working on. I'd love to be a resource for you to help you in your coding journey. So what we'll do is use the exact same logic that we have here. If there's no session, we'll use redirect from next navigation to redirect the user back to the home page. And we haven't imported redirect just yet, so let's do that now. From next nav. Now let's go back to the page that is not authenticated. Go to dashboard. You see we're automatically being redirected because we don't have a session. Now let's just log in to make sure that we can log in with a different user. This user is being stored and we have access to the various routes. We click sign in. We got the pending state. I'll log in with this account. We are perfectly logged in. Let's make sure this user is saved in the database. With the user, absolutely perfect. We have 2 users persistent in the database. So we have 2 users that are being stored. That's great. Now let's create a post and let's make sure that it is capturing this logged in user, not the prior one. So we should have 2 posts created once we're done. One that'll be assigned to the JA-DAD and the other will be assigned to JDUMB12. So we'll go dashboard and I'm just going to add /create. It's going to take us to the create post page. I know it's not styled, it's ugly, it doesn't function well, but I promise you I am going to update it very, very soon, but I just want to do the functionality first. Test, we'll say JDUMB12 title, JDUMB12 content. Click create. Once we click the create button, we should be redirected back to the home page. That's perfect. Now let's check MongoDB just to make sure that the post was saved and that it is associated with the user that we just logged in with or that we are logged in with. So click on post. I may have to refresh it. Nope. We see the first one, test post, test title, the JA-DAB, and this one is JDUMB12 title, content, and we see the logged in user. Perfect. So all of that is working perfect as well. So now let's go ahead and add in the ability to get all posts on the home page. So look at the documentation, fetching data. Two approaches. First would be going through an API. This is the approach we'll follow, where we're going to get all posts and we'll leverage it based upon the ORM. We know with Prisma, I think it is find many. Yeah, just a full stack app. Had a little time off today, so want to have some fun coding. I'm probably going to have to stop here in a minute, but I am going to pick it back up later on this evening to add in more functionality. But for right now, just building something simple to get it going, and eventually, yes, we are going to style it. Like this is, we spend a little bit of time with this one, because ultimately what I'm going to do is this project, I'm going to integrate it on the portfolio site. So once you're on my portfolio site, you'll have access to the blog, and this is going to be the blog. That's going to be required that you actually are logged in with a session. I'm just building out what the interface and everything is going to look like for right now. But eventually, we're going to add more to it. It'll be styled a lot prettier than this, I promise you. I'm just doing something to get it on screen for right now. So in order to display, but no, great question, man. Thanks for showing some love and asking. So what we'll do now is go ahead and get access to display data on screen. So back in the home page, and this is just to test it out. The component or the function is already marked asynchronous. We'll create a const named post and set it equal to await Prisma. And as we type out Prisma, you see that with the IntelliSense from VS Code, it is automatically recommended @lib/Prisma. I would highly recommend making sure you have that extension installed. It makes your life that much easier. And what we want to use is one of the, well, then you click dot so that we get access to the Prisma client. One of the methods within it, we're just going to leverage post, which is the name of our schema. And then after post, then we're going to gain access to find many so that we can capture all of the posts that are within the database. I'm not going to worry about by user right now, but I am going to give it an ordered by, and we're just going to order it by created at, and this will be in descending order. All you gotta type in is DSC and it'll automatically do the rest. So on the home page, I know it's not styled or anything just yet, and we're going to move this to a separate component so that we can leverage suspense to give a full-blown, better user experience. But to get it going, let's just go ahead and get something on screen. We'll use the post variable or const that we created, and we'll say if the post length, yep, that's exactly correct. Absolutely. I want to, if we don't have any, I want to display a message. And then obviously if we do have some, I want to display those posts. Actually, we don't need fragments here. I'll copy this, place it here. Say no post created. And then in this portion, we'll just say, I think it's post.map. For each post created, we'll name it post, or each of the posts within the post const, that's plural, we'll name it post. And we'll go div with a key of post ID. And we'll just add the title for right now, post.title. Click save. And as you can see, we are displaying two post titles from the database. The most recent one created is JDUMB12 with title, and the first one that was created was test post. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete both of the posts, because I want to make sure that if we don't have any posts created, we do see this message. We'll go to MongoDB. Actually, before we do that, let's make sure that, no, it's okay. Let's go ahead and delete it. So I'll go into post and we'll delete it. And we'll delete the second post created. Now if I refresh the screen, boom, we see no post created. Absolutely perfect. That's what we were looking for. So now I also want to do this exact same thing within the dashboard as well. That way, let's just say you just logged into the site. It's your first time and you see all of the posts, you're able to comment, like, etc. However, if you click on dashboard, I want to conditionally render a message to that user that you have not created a post just yet. Yep. I appreciate everyone checking me out. Look, feel free to drop a comment if you have a question. I'll be happy to answer it. Mm-hmm. That's correct. So we'll go to the dashboard page. Then we'll say we'll need to get a const name post and set it equal to await Prisma. We should import it. Dot post. Dot find mini. And we'll use the exact same ordered by, but before we do that, we'll say where. And what we want the user email to match the session email of the user. So I have the session. Let me create a const name user email and get access to the object. So that's session question mark dot user question mark dot email. And we're basically saying if the session user, we want to get all of the posts where the session user email mirrors the user email of the created post. Let's say user email, and then I'll add the order by. Yeah. Sorry, be sure to add an empty string if you're following along. That way it cares for if there isn't a session. I know we have it a redirect in place, but with TypeScript, type safety is a must. So just be sure that you add it. And I'll just copy the ordered by information and paste it in. And then we can use this exact same conditional render. In the event the post length is 0, we should get this message on screen. So I'm just going to replace dashboard. We have not created a post just yet, so that makes sense. So let's go ahead and add a new post. So we'll go to /create. Let me make sure I include that in our notes. Link to dashboard /create. All right, so then we'll say new title, new content, create. Redirects us. We click on dashboard, loading. We see new title on screen. It's absolutely perfect. So the next things we'll need to do is update and delete. I think I'm going to pause for right now, and we'll come back later on and care for the update and delete of the CRUD functionality. We did a little more than I anticipated, but that's cool, no problem there. I appreciate everyone that gave me some time and attention, especially those that commented on all social platforms in the chat, had questions. I'll see you later on this evening to add in update, delete, and then from there, we'll go ahead and add some simple styling, comments, likes, maybe favorites, and any other features you could think of. I think I'll eventually go with the rich text editor as well. We'll have a little fun with it. But I'll see you later on.